Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Gonna read through about half of the article here. It is fairly lengthy. It goes into a lot of detail. I'm gonna go through some of the details, but not quite all. There is a link in the description, and it is a really, really sad, terrible case. Essentially, to give you a very brief overview, a 13-year-old boy raped his neighbor, pretty much his next door neighbor. He lives like 100. They live 100 meters apart from each other. 13-year-old boy raped a young girl, a 14-year-old. She had gone to a party. She left the party with friends. On the way walking home, the friends got picked up by family members, and she was left to walk the last little bit home. And therein lies a problem. She should have been given a lift by the parents, picking up her friend. But in any case, tragically, she carried on walking alone, and a 13-year-old boy, practically her next door neighbor, attacked her, assaulted her, raped her. It turns out that he had sexually assaulted 5 people, 5 girls, at the party that evening. And he was found guilty, but he wasn't given a custodial sentence. He spent 1 day in jail. And other than that, outside of that, he's been allowed home. So he lives back at his home with his parents. Apparently, there was no other family that he could go and live with. The property that he lives in with his parents, I believe, is a rented property. The police suggested to the family that, hey guys, why don't you fuck off? Why don't you go and find somewhere else to live? You raped practically the next door neighbor. She doesn't want to see this 13-year-old boy wandering around the area. But the family have refused to move. I'm going to say scumbags. Where's the decency in that? They have a rental property. They ought to be able to find an alternative rental property to move to, and they've refused. That's disgraceful, because this is a very harrowing situation for the 14-year-old victim, who has been triggered constantly. She's bumping into this 13-year-old rapist on multiple occasions. Apparently, this 13-year-old has broken his... I can't quite think of the right term, but he's got restricted movement, and he's breaking the terms of his restricted movement. Let's have a closer look through the details. So the article tells us that the scumbag 13-year-old rapist dragged the 14-year-old into an alleyway and raped her as she was walking home from a party on October the 10th last year. The boy cannot be identified, and the victim is also not identified. But the boy was quickly arrested as the girl recognized him because he lived just 100 meters away. As I say, it turns out that he admitted the rape, and he also admitted to sex assaults on 5 other girls that same evening at this party. Again, 13 years of age. I'm going to throw this in there. I don't want to muddy the water, but what has he faced? What makes a 13-year-old commit multiple sex assaults and rape? What makes a 13-year-old do that? I think it's somewhat common knowledge. Not always, of course. It's a bit of a generalization, but it's common knowledge to think that he likely has been the victim of sexual abuse, perhaps, or overexposure to sexual imagery or something along those lines. Perhaps it's due to exposure to pornography at a young age, which I would think is almost inevitable nowadays. Young children have tablets, iPads, mobile phones, cell phones, their own PCs, their own laptops, their own Chromebooks, They have multiple devices, all of which are internet connected. And sure, parents can put some protective procedures in place, but come on, kids are smart enough to get over those kind of things. I mean, certainly at the age of 13. If you wanted to explore the internet without restriction, and if your device was locked to some extent, you just ask your friends, "Oh, how do I get past this block?" You know, there's going to be ways to do it, and a 13-year-old's going to be able to find out how. Maybe an 8-year-old could also find out how. But anyway, I don't want to muddy the water too much, but I'm just wondering what would turn a 13-year-old into a rapist. So he was bailed to return to his family home despite objections from police and prosecutors. Apparently, he couldn't move in with any other relatives outside of the area. And with that, the 14-year-old has continued to suffer panic attacks, partly due to being in close proximity to her rapist. She sees him. When they leave the house in the car, they have to drive past his home. They've seen him at the window. They've seen him in the garden. They've seen him walking around the area, even though he has a tag and he has a nighttime curfew. But apparently the family believe that he has broken that curfew. So either way, the 14-year-old girl, the 14-year-old rape victim, has seen her rapist multiple times. It triggers her. She gets anxiety. And, it's causing a great hardship to her life. It's making it more difficult to get past this disgusting event. She's less able to concentrate on her school studies. Here's a quote from the young girl, the 14-year-old rape victim. "My anxiety has been really bad since I was raped. It has affected me being at school because I don't want to pass his home. I still get tearful and sick, and I have been having flashbacks. Having him around here just makes things worse. It's in the back of my mind the whole time. But I've been having counselling for 6 months, and that has been really helpful." So I don't know. I'm just gonna say, as if I were able to speak with the victim concerned or other similar victims, I'm just going to say a few words from me, which, well, I'll just say them. I just feel really sorry for this young lady. I just wish her the best. I hope that she is able to, and I'm sure she is more than capable of getting over this tragedy. And I don't really know what I mean when I say getting over. I don't know what that means, but I guess it means not allowing it to drag oneself down, to be able to emotionally, mentally move away from it, not forget, not forgive, but just not have it as a focal point, not have it as something, as a cloud, as an evil darkness, as a forebodingness, not having it as such, and be able to move away from that towards light and happiness. And it is I'm not a rape victim. I'm not going to pretend, I guess, that I know what it would be like to be a rape victim. But clearly it's extremely harrowing and fear-inducing and shame-inducing. And I just hope that victims of such attacks get the support that they need from their family members, from therapists, from friends, and that they're able to move past this. And I really hope that isn't a condescending term that I'm using, moving on, moving past. I don't mean it to be condescending at all. So I really hope it isn't. Yeah, so I guess that's what I wanted to say. I really feel sorry for this young lady, and I hope she gets all of the support she needs. I'm sure she will, and I'm sure she will get past this. But in the meantime, she is going to face a very troubling time. This is very disruptive for her mental health, for her school studies, for her to be able to feel confident and happy with herself, with life, with others, with boys. She ought to be able to be like any other teenager, being able to feel confident about the opposite sex, or however her sexual, I don't know, I don't know, man. Like, she should be able to feel confident in herself for all aspects of her life. And I hope she gets to that position again. I'm sure she will. That's pretty much all I want to go through, really. I just think it's a really sad story. It's a really sad situation. There is no GoFundMe, and I don't suppose that would be necessarily entirely relevant, but it would be nice to be able to show some level of support to such a victim. Again, there is a link in the description. It does go into more detail about the incident, as well as the young girl's reaction to the incident, how she came to tell her family about the incident. But I don't feel the need to go through all of that. Ultimately, this is a story, a situation of a young 14-year-old girl that was raped pretty much by her next door neighbor, who happened to be 13. And because of his age, he hasn't faced any jail time. He's been given a pass in that regard. I think it is sensible and likely fair for the authorities to investigate as to what suffering he has faced. I don't think necessarily he has faced any suffering. I don't feel that's guaranteed to be the case, but I would presume that it is very likely that he faced some abuse, which would have psychologically prompted him to have the ability to rape and to sexually assault. That would be my presumption. Could be entirely wrong, of course, and I'm in no way suggesting that having faced such abuse, if that were to be the case, would in any way justify raping or sexually assaulting another. It doesn't, of course, but I think it would be the responsible thing to do for the authorities to thoroughly investigate that side of things. He's a monster. How was he made a monster? Was he born a monster? I don't believe that's how humans work. Maybe some of them do, but I think it's more likely he was made a monster by what he faced. But this isn't about him. It's about the young girl, the 14-year-old, and I hope that, again, she gets all of the support that she needs. I'm going to wrap things up here at this point, guys. If you do like this content, if this has been worthwhile, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. Take care, guys, and if you are a victim of these types of situations, please do seek help, especially if it's causing depression and, if it's causing suicidal thoughts, severe unhappiness. Do reach out. The victims, especially young victims, their families, their friends may not be, or perhaps even likely won't be, equipped to fully be able to process such situations and be able to provide meaningful help. So, a victim, a survivor, will, in my opinion, most likely benefit greatly by having a therapist, and thankfully that's the case with this young lady. So again, I'll wrap things up here, guys. Please do take care, and best wishes to all. Thanks.